Let's put the windows up a minute so that you can actually hear what I'm saying. It's the 2nd of June today. I cannot believe it's actually June already. And I haven't driven this car in I don't know how long, because basically it was on SORN already when we went into the lockdown, and that was like 2 months ago. And well, it was 3 months, I guess, since this car's driven more than up and down the drive. That's a really, really long time, isn't it? So there's a water bottle down in the footwell which is rattling. So yeah, I taxed this car this morning. I was going to take the Volvo off tax, put it on SORN, but something has happened involving my parking situation where that was going to go. A good thing, I guess, we might call this, but we'll talk about this on a later date in another video. So the Volvo is still taxed and hasn't gone off to live somewhere else for the time being. So we'll continue to use that, which is good. It means I can do the lakes trip, which I've not got around to do yet. But also does mean the Mini's back on the road. And I've got a nice little photo shoot today, which isn't too far from home. I haven't got to lock the car up and walk away and leave it on the motorway services or anything, which I would not recommend to anyone at the moment. I drove down to shoots on the weekend, and the services were just crammed with all of the people you expect them to be crammed with. If you've watched the news and thought, who are those bunch of idiots going to the coast and sitting 3 feet from everyone else on the beach and spreading viruses amongst each other, all those people are at the motorway services as well. If you need to go for a wee anywhere on the way to anywhere at the moment, just go behind a tree. Just don't go there, just full of idiots who have got no respect for your personal space. Just not worth it. Anyway, so I'm not stopping anywhere in this car. It's a nice local shoot. You can't see from the camera angle, but I've put the back seats down and the back of the car is utterly loaded with stuff. I haven't looked at my pole mount rig kit, which is quite a big thing. Only really fits in the estate car. I've managed to squeeze my photo lights and my drone in though, so that's all good. It's surprising what you can actually fit in one of these. I've had to take the headrest off the front seat so you can see, because I can't put the seat back because there's so much stuff in the back. It's nice to be in this car. It's a shame the air conditioning. I'm being reminded of all the things that I was going to do before I parked it and I hadn't done yet. The shopping list of jobs for this car. Put the original radio back in. I've got an original radio, and this one, the cage for this Sony, it's a great little Sony, but the cage just rattles like crazy. It's not the dashboard, it's the aftermarket radio that rattles. What else was I going to say? Yeah, I need to get the remote central locking fixed. I was about to do that when this all went kablammy. Airbag light has come back on again, so I need to get that one coated out fairly promptly. What else? Oh gosh. I'm going to get the wheels all powder coated because they look good from a distance, but they're a bit cracked. The white coating is a bit meh in places. So that's stuff that needs doing. There's not really a lot else needs doing to this car. There's a few little dings on to get those like vent guy sorted out. And when I do the radio and get the dings done, I'm going to replace this door card because that's sitting. Well, I don't want to take the door cards off and on more than necessary. I want to replace these loudspeakers and get the dings done in the doors. So I think I'll try and get the door dings done at the same time as replacing the loudspeakers and replace this door card all in one go. That's my plan. Oh, dear me, it's painfully warm. And the air conditioning, that's the one, the really, really big one I need to get sorted out is the aircon, which has never worked on the car since I've had it. But I think that's becoming a priority. If the summer's going to be like this, I'm going to keep the car on road and taxed, then yeah, getting the AC sorted out is absolutely going to happen. If I get the AC sorted out and this and the Alpha, I can have a happy summer of retro motoring in cool bliss. It's been interesting watching all the comments from people who watched the Modern Mondays of the 205 Mercedes C-Class. Generally, most of the viewership of this channel seem to prefer the old 204 shape that I've got. That's slightly retro, slightly more hands-on, less automated. That's quite interesting. I mean, obviously part of the idea of doing Modern Mondays is it's to appeal to a different group of people, but hopefully interest the people who are already watching the channel anyway. But yeah, it's interesting sort of seeing from the comments, it's not as much of a 50-50 split as the Mini Goodwood was. That was interesting, seeing that was very much a love or hate that doesn't get more Marmite than that car apparently, although it's sold within days of the video coming out, so someone clearly liked it enough to go and buy it. A few people said they thought the car had scratched paintwork or swirly paintwork on the Mini Cooper, but no, it wasn't. It was just dusty because it hadn't been detailed for sale just yet. Things I can tell you are coming on the channel fairly shortly. Well, not exactly too much detail, but I have driven a few cars now that have been meaning to get reviewed now, so I've got a couple of weeks worth of a retro goes for a drive kind of in the bag now, so even if it will go wrong again, I've got something. Even if the weather turns bad again, I've got something in the bag. And I've never done a proper goes for a drive in this car, so you can look forward to seeing that before too long. You know what else I think? I could probably do some new bushes in the front of this car. I mean, it's done 131,000 miles, or nearly 132,000 miles. So it probably wouldn't hurt to tighten up the front suspension with some new bits of rubber in there. The thing is, to do that, it does involve taking most of the subframe off. It's not really a DIY job. Fortunately, there is a Mini specialist down on the south coast I've been to for a couple of magazine jobs, and I've seen them do similar stuff involving changing the entire suspension actually on not Y-Ridge Minis, but certainly R50 Minis, and they can do it relatively quickly. Oh, some more good news is the car showrooms seem to be opening up again now, so people can start buying cars, because the car industry as a whole has suffered really badly over the last couple of months. And not only that, but motoring journalists who make their living reviewing cars, like me really, haven't been able to borrow cars from the car manufacturers. And it looks like those are going to be starting again fairly soon to be lending cars out, so we can get out and start bringing more and more Modern Mondays. Something I've been hoping to do for, and that looks pretty cool, that C63, that looks like it's got the wheels I was hoping to stick on my 204. That's interesting. But it's nice how smooth and quiet this car is at 70 miles an hour. Nice and quiet car. Oh, that aircon, I've got to get it done. You push the button, the light comes on, and nothing else. So I'm guessing either it's leaked, I'm sure it's done more than just leaked, or it's fluid or gas out. It must be, oh, it's flashing now. It must be the compressor is dead. So I've just finished my photo shoot, been shooting a car here on an industrial estate. The Mini isn't always the most ideal car for taking to work, because I mean, these lights and things and the cameras and tripods take up pretty much all the boot. I did chuck the drone in, but I never used it in the end today. It's a bit windy, and also lots of people to go and ask permission from, because you have to go and ask permission to use the drone if you're going to be within, well, to take off 25 metres, 50 metres, it's complicated. But yeah, I never normally use it on a work trip, because the seat's down, so you can't stop in the services or stop anywhere, frankly. But it's a short drive today to this industrial estate, and so I wasn't going to be stopping. I can just enjoy the Mini, have a bit of fun with it. If you're interested in what these kind of things are, these lights and stuff, have a look at my other channel, Clickbait, which I've barely done anything with the last few weeks. I'm really sorry about that. If you did subscribe, more will come very soon indeed, I promise. Because the schools haven't quite gone back yet, my son's still at home, so every time I'm not actually physically doing work, I can't go off and do YouTube stuff, which I'd like to, because I've got to look after him and so keep him entertained. I'd say try and educate him, but not a long time ago, like most other parents. But anyway, back to the Mini. It's great to have this thing out and about again. It's looking very dusty. It's a shame it doesn't live indoors. I really wish that I had actual cover for it, but it shares the garage with the Tomcat, and the two of them take it in turns. But this one fits more easily in the small gap at the front of the house. It's got a few little dings down the side, which bother me now. I'm going to try and get them dent magicianed out this summer, as well as everything else. So a car like this may only be an R50 Mini to some people. It's actually quite a special little machine. Right, let's get the Ellen Croms loaded up in their bag. So the worst part of my job is putting stuff back in the bag. Sort of break down all the stuff, pack it back in the cases. basically I can shoot literally anywhere. Just sort of 3 cases in the bag of light stands. I can go anywhere and shoot a car or anything else. In fact, literally anywhere on the planet.
Oh, before I pulled away, I just did a quick look at the Schrader valve under the bonnet on the aircon, and found a little screwdriver and just tapped the end of the needle valve just to see if anything came swooshing out. And it's just going to do the gentlest little puff ever, and then stopped. So it looks like the system has just, you know, run dry over the years. So all this time I've been driving the car with no aircon. All I needed was regassing, maybe. I'm really hoping that it's the case. I'm going to give actually the local garage, the MOT, the Volvo, last week was it, week before, they do aircon up there, so I'm going to ask if they can squeeze me in the next couple of days to go and do a aircon regas, because that will make this car so much more usable and pleasant over the summer months. I think it's about 60 quid or so. What you may have noticed when I was just packing the car up a second ago is that the Tilly hat and the buff neck scarf thing are very much permanent fixtures when I'm working. I'm not a big fan of the sun. I'm even less of a fan of sunstroke and sunburn, so I take every precaution you can think of to stay kind of out of the sun really as much as possible when I'm working. Obviously I'm working outdoors, so I dress appropriately for someone who doesn't want to get sunburnt. Because we've kind of had 2 months of not really working, it still feels to me kind of like it's, you know, March or springtime still, really not actually June and summertime, because we've kind of skipped a big chunk of the year without really noticing. Oh, I'm ready for a nice cup of tea now. Well, I hope you enjoyed coming out on a little ride with the Mini today. It's been great fun driving this thing again. This is such a great little buzz box. It's tiny, it's nimble, it's fun. Everyone who sees it seems to like it. People who don't like minis and say that new minis are too big, you look at this and think, oh, actually that's not really very big at all in the grand scheme of things. This is the gateway drug Mini. Gotta fix that radio, that's so irritating. I've not done a live chat for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to put this up tonight, which is Tuesday, so this is forewarning that if you watch the end of this, you will know that on Friday this week, which is the, I don't know what, the day of the month, I'm going to do a live chat at the 8 o'clock in the evening thing again. That seems to work quite well. So join me at 8 o'clock on Friday. So move my GoPros around and rejoin me in a second. I'm not going to talk much longer because it's too hot to have the windows shut. I'll have to put the radio on. I spoke again today to the garage, Mercedes place, so they can look at the W123. I know people are still curious when that's going to get done, and again he said he's really busy, but hopefully going to get around very soon. So I would love to see the W123 running very soon indeed. Well, we're taking the W204, S204, around to him later this week because that needs new front discs and pads. So, right, I've waffled enough, it's too hot to keep the windows closed any longer, so this is it, this is the Mini back on the road again. Lovely little R50, great little car. Stay safe everyone, I'll probably put some other videos up during the week if I can, and otherwise I'll see you on Friday.